April 2025 was a whirlwind in American politics. President Trump, starting his second term, wasted no time shaking things up. From tariffs to budget cuts, his actions rippled across the country. People didn't just sit back and watch. They took to the streets, filling cities with chants and signs. From Wichita Falls, Texas to Overland Park, Kansas, a wave of protests arose, expressing anxieties and frustrations. In Wichita Falls, citizens organized the Rally for Democracy. They worried about Trump's impact on Shepherd Air Force Base, a crucial part of their community. The rally was part of a larger movement called Hands Off. Folks across America joined these protests, united by a common fear that Trump's policies were hurting the country. These weren't just political games played by pundits on TV, these were real concerns from everyday Americans. Their livelihoods, their healthcare, their very way of life felt under threat. April 2025 became a pivotal moment, a time when people decided they wouldn't stay silent. April showed that even in a divided nation, people still care deeply about their government. They want their voices heard, their values represented. It was a reminder that democracy doesn't just happen every 4 years at the ballot box. It's a living, breathing thing that requires constant attention and participation. The Hands Off. Protests weren't just about one policy or one president. They represented a deep well of anxiety about the direction of the country. Many protesters worried about Trump's budget cuts. They saw vital programs like Medicare and Social Security on the chopping block. They feared for their neighbors who depended on these lifelines. Others directed their anger at Elon Musk, who had taken a role in the Trump administration. Musk's focus on government efficiency sounded good on paper, but to many it felt like a thinly veiled attack on essential services. They saw their postal workers, their air traffic controllers, and countless others facing uncertainty. The protests were a mix of anger, fear, and a desperate hope for change. People held signs with slogans like "Hands Off Medicare" and "Stop the Cuts." They chanted, they marched, they made their presence known. For many, it was their first time participating in a political demonstration. They realized that their voices, combined with others, could create a powerful roar. These rallies weren't just happening in big cities. Small towns and rural communities also joined the movement. The issues at stake transcended geography and political affiliation. It was a reminder that even in a vast and diverse nation, shared concerns can unite people from all walks of life. President Trump seemed unfazed by the protests. He continued to push his agenda with characteristic zeal. He imposed tariffs on China, aiming to protect American jobs but sparking fears of a trade war. He nominated a candidate for the Pentagon, only to see the nomination blocked by Senator McConnell, highlighting the deep divisions within the Republican Party itself. Trump's supporters cheered him on, praising his strong leadership and his commitment to putting America first. They argued that the protests were the work of out-of-touch elites who didn't understand the needs of ordinary Americans. They pointed to the booming stock market as proof that Trump's policies were working. But critics were quick to point out the downsides of Trump's approach. They argued that his tariffs were hurting American consumers and businesses. They questioned his close relationship with Russia and his decision to withdraw from key international agreements. The political divide in America seemed wider than ever. Even within the Trump administration, there were signs of friction. Elon Musk and Peter Navarro, two of Trump's closest advisors, publicly clashed over the wisdom of the tariffs. The president's inner circle seemed less like a well-oiled machine, and more like a pressure cooker about to explode. Amidst the political turmoil, April Fool's Day offered a brief respite. Colorado Governor Jared Polis, known for his quick wit, couldn't resist taking a jab at President Trump. "I'm thinking of imposing a tariff on tweets," Polis joked, drawing laughter from both sides of the aisle. Even in these polarized times, humor offered a flicker of common ground. It reminded people that political opponents weren't just caricatures on a screen, but human beings capable of laughter and lightheartedness. For a brief moment, the partisan rancor subsided, replaced by a shared chuckle. But the laughter couldn't mask the very real anxieties that gripped the nation. The protests, the policies, the political battles, they all pointed to a country grappling with its identity and its future. April 2025 may have started with a few laughs, but it ended with a sobering reminder. The stakes were high and the consequences all too real. The events of April 2025 underscored the importance of staying informed and engaged in the political process. They showed that democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires active participation, from voting in elections to holding elected officials accountable. In a time of political turbulence, the voices of everyday Americans mattered more than ever.